What's up, guys? We are in the kitchen today, so we must be doing something with food, right? So it's been a while since I've done a full day of eating video, and actually a lot has changed in my diet since the last time that I did one. So I figured that it was probably about time that I go ahead and I get one of these knocked out for you guys. Before I get into the actual food, I just kind of want to give a little context. First things first, I'm talking a little quiet because my girlfriend's still asleep in the bedroom over there, so obviously I don't want to wake her up. Second, where I'm kind of at with my food and my calories right now. So right now I'm eating about 3,800 to 4,000 calories, depending on the day. Usually if I have a really hard training day and a day where I get a lot of steps, I'll add a little bit of food to my to my last meal, extra food to my last meal to put me around that 4,000 mark. But right now my goal is just kind of maintain my weight at least for the next 2 weeks. About 8 or 9 days from the day that I'm recording this video, I'm actually going to be going to Vegas for a wedding. And I'm not really somebody who like parties a lot and eats like tons of junk food and stuff, but I am going to be there for a week with friends and family, and I am going to have fun and do some things like that. So just in case things get a little off the rails while I'm in Vegas, I kind of just want to hold my weight and hold my body fat levels right now, just for worst case scenario. If things get a little bad while I'm in Vegas, then when I come back, then I still won't be in a terrible position. Whereas if I'm actively pushing my body weight up now and accruing some body fat, and then I gain even more fat in Vegas, that kind of puts me in a bad spot for the rest of the year, because ideally I'm recording this video on, I think today's actually June 1st. My goal right now is to spend the rest of this calendar year, so from June until December, not dieting. I want to be either holding my weight or for the most part creeping my body weight up. So if I gain a lot of fat and stuff right now, then it just kind of shoots myself in the foot for the rest of the year, and kind of makes the plans that I have set harder to achieve. All right, boring context stuff out of the way, let's go ahead and let's take a look at our first meal. So my first meal is going to be a shake. I have really had no appetite first thing in the morning for probably the last, I would say, 6 months or so. I cannot remember a single time in the last 6 months where I have actually eaten my first meal of the day, like actually physically eaten food. I have drank my first meal almost every single day for the past 6 months, like I said. The main reason for that, honestly, is because, like I said, I'm not hungry when I wake up, and because of that, if I don't get something in my stomach like pretty early when I wake up, I have a bad habit of pushing my first meal off for a couple hours, and if I do that, then I find the rest of the day I'm kind of scrambling to get my meals in. So I like to get something in probably within like 45 minutes or so of waking up, but because I can't eat that, I drink it. So what is actually in the shake? So I have 75 grams of Cocoa Krispies cereal in here. I have 50 grams of Dimetized ISO 100 whey. This is really the only whey protein that my stomach can tolerate. I have the Cocoa Pebbles flavor, coincidentally enough. So Cocoa Pebbles whey with Cocoa Pebbles cereal. And then I also have, you guys are probably like, what is that? This is a mandarin orange that's in there. And then also, I haven't added it yet, but I'm gonna add 50 grams of this. I can't even get you guys to see it. 50 grams of this kale here. You guys are probably like freaking out right now. You're like, what the hell, fruits and vegetables? And this is really gonna be the biggest change from this full day of eating to the last one, is that I am eating fruits and vegetables in every single meal of the day right now. I got a lot of people who were talking shit on my first full day of eating video because I never really ate fruits or vegetables. And honestly, fruits, I'm gonna be honest, I've always liked fruits. I just avoided fruits out of pure laziness. Vegetables are not something that I particularly enjoy, but over the course of the past, I would say probably 3 months or so, I've kind of experimented with a bunch of stuff in order to find combinations of fruits and vegetables that I can eat that I don't think are disgusting, so that I can get my micronutrients in. My digestion is a lot better, and I feel a little bit better overall. So that's gonna be a big change from today's full day of eating, is lots of fruits and vegetables in the diet. You guys are probably wondering why an orange. That's like a really weird combination to put in a bunch of chocolate stuff. So this shake started off using banana, but I found some big time inconsistencies with using banana from a digestive perspective. Sometimes bananas would cause me no problems at all, and sometimes they would just absolutely destroy my stomach. And I kind of looked into it, and from what I've gathered is that as bananas become more ripe, more of their sugars can convert to fiber and things along those lines. So at various stages of a banana's life, I don't know if that's what you call it, but their life, they can digest differently. So I just found a lot of inconsistencies with bananas that way. And so I thought, what's another fruit that goes good with chocolate? And so I picked cherries, and cherries right away just tore my stomach to bits. So chocolate covered oranges is really the only other thing that I could think of next. So that's why I've got an orange in here. The taste is interesting. I don't think it's bad. The kale you don't even taste at all, but the orange and the chocolate is interesting. I wouldn't say it's as good as chocolate and banana, but I kind of have to deal with what I got right now. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna get this blended up and get this in me, and then I'll see you guys again for the second meal. What's going on, guys? It's about 11:30 or so right now. So it's about 2 hours or so since I had my first meal. And I'm sitting down to eat my second meal now. So this is gonna be second meal of the day, but this will be my actual first whole food meal that I will eat, assuming that you don't account the first meal as a whole food meal. I do. I'm eating whey and rice and fruit and vegetables. I'm just blending it and drinking it. But anyways, so for this meal, I have 100 grams of sushi rice. I have 7 ounces or 196 grams of chicken. And then if you can see, I have 50 grams of spinach kind of buried beneath all of this here. I'm inevitably gonna get asked this. All of the foods that I mentioned are weighed raw, so not prior to cooking. So this is 100 grams of raw rice and 7 ounces of raw chicken. On top of this part of the meal here, I'm gonna add half a cup of this chicken bone broth, and I'll kind of talk about that in a little bit. I'm also gonna have 50 grams of pineapple with this meal. So in here I have 200 grams of pineapple, which I'm gonna have equally across the next 4 meals. So 50 grams at each meal. And then I have 200 grams of carrots in here, and I'm gonna have a quarter of that. So about 50 grams of carrots with this meal as well. So this bone broth here, the bone broth is a tip that I picked up from Stan Efferding actually, and his vertical diet that he kind of lays out. There are a lot of benefits with the bone broth in terms of digestion. There are some glutamine in here, there's some glucosamine in here, which is gonna be good for your joints and things along those lines. The 2 main reasons why I use this are for digestion. I take about 2 cups of this per day, so a half of a cup across 4 meals, so 2 cups total. So that gives me a good hit of glutamine, which is good for my stomach and for my digestion. But also this makes the food easier to eat, and this is kind of one of those things that sound weird, but if you kind of think about food as like a soup, like if you've got chicken and rice like this and it's dry and you're eating it, it's a lot harder to eat than if it were like moist or wet. I know that those are kind of gross words, people don't like those. But putting bone broth on the food kind of makes the food into like a soup, or it makes the food wet a little bit, and it just makes it easier to eat. And when you're eating large quantities of meat and rice all the time, I'm always looking for ways to help it go down easier. So not only does this taste great and it's good for your stomach and good for your joints, it also makes eating food a lot easier. So I definitely recommend something like this if you guys are struggling eating your meals. Put half a cup or so of this on each of your meals, and you're gonna notice that meal goes down a lot easier. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get this meal down. Like I said, it's about 11:30 right now, and at 1:30 or so I'm gonna leave and head to the store. I have to work at the store this afternoon. So the next 3 meals that you guys see from here are gonna be eaten at work, at the store. So I'll see you guys then. All right, guys, what's up? So we are at work. It's about 2 o'clock or so, and I'm getting ready to eat meal 3 here. So meal 3 is going to be really similar to meal 2. I have 100 grams of sushi rice. Instead of 7 ounces of chicken, I have 8 ounces of 96% lean beef. And then this will probably be hard to see through the Tupperware, but I have 50 grams of a pepper and onion mix in here. And then just like the first meal, I'll have half a cup of bone broth on that, and I'll also have 50 grams of carrots and 50 grams of pineapple. So this is one of my favorite meals of the day for sure. I really, really like beef. If this beef wasn't so expensive, I would eat more beef meals per day, but I really, really like the beef. So this is definitely a favorite meal of mine. I'm gonna go ahead and get this one down, and then I'll check in with you guys for meal 4 here in a little bit. Okay, it is about 4:30 or so, and we're sitting down here for meal 4. So meal 4 gonna be very similar to the last 2 that I had. I have 100 grams of sushi rice. For the protein, I have 7 ounces of wild-caught salmon, and then I also have 50 grams of spinach in there as well. And then I'm also gonna have 50 grams of pineapple and 50 grams of carrots. So the wild-caught salmon meal is another favorite meal of mine. Unfortunately, the wild-caught salmon is very, very expensive. So this is about 15 bucks a pound, and it's really, really expensive. I have a video on my YouTube channel talking about all the various types of protein sources and which ones I think are the best. And I definitely think that wild-caught salmon is towards the top of some of the best protein sources that you can eat. Not only is it pretty easily digestible for most people, but it's a very, very great source of omega-3 fatty acids, which are, they have tons of benefits. I'm not really going to list them out right now, but tons and tons of health benefits to those omega-3s. And a big reason why not only should you be supplementing with an omega-3 product, but I also think that you should be eating foods that are rich in omega-3s just to kind of supplement that. Unfortunately, the wild-caught salmon is very, very expensive, and so I need to really limit how much I eat it. So I'm really only eating it 2 days a week right now. This way I can just buy 1 pound of it and I can make it last a week. But definitely one of my favorite meals. Gonna go ahead and get tucked into it now, and then I'll see you guys in a couple hours for my 5th and final meal here at work. Okay guys, it is about 7 o'clock, so we close up in about an hour. This is going to be the last meal that I'll have here at work, and then I will have 1 more meal at home before I go to bed. So this is meal 5, 100 grams of sushi rice. I have 7 ounces of chicken in here again, 50 grams of that pepper and onion mix, and then I have them over here. I have 50 grams of carrots and 50 grams of pineapple again, and then I also have another half cup of bone broth in this meal, and I think I forgot to mention it on the salmon meal, but I also have a half cup of bone broth on there. So not really a whole lot to say about this one. It's pretty much the exact same meal as all of the other ones have been, just a different vegetable and a different protein. So I'm gonna go ahead and eat this one up, and then I gotta get the store closed, and then head home and do a little bit more work when I get home, and then I will see you guys for the 6th and final meal before I go to bed. Okay guys, so it is about 9:50 or so at night, and we are getting ready to make our last meal. We're in the process of doing it right now. So really crazy busy day at the store today. We did 41 customers today, which is a really, really busy day for us. So just crazy, crazy busy afternoon. Got a bunch of client work and done stuff in the meantime too. But anyways, we're getting down to eating this last meal here. I'm really tired and I would rather just go to bed right now, but we got to do what we got to do. So last meal of the day is probably my favorite meal. I'm a big breakfast for dinner type of guy. I kind of always have been. Really like eating breakfast type of foods at night. So this has always been one of my favorite meals. First part of the meal is going down here. I'm gonna try and show you guys without ruining my mic and everything. So we've got that going in the pan. So that is Trader Joe's uncured turkey bacon, which is this right here. I'm really, really liking this stuff right now, eating it pretty much every single night. This may raise some questions about like eating processed meat and stuff, and whether or not this is good. And normally I would say no, But this Trader Joe's turkey bacon is actually very, very clean. So it's uncured, so it has no cures, no sugars. It has no nitrates or nitrites added into it at all. And actually the ingredients are very, very straightforward. So the only ingredients that are in this turkey bacon is turkey thighs, water, sea salt, celery powder, paprika, onion powder, and that's it. And that's all that's in here. So I don't particularly think that this is like a suboptimal protein source. I think that this is very, very clean. Like I said, it's got no nitrates or anything added into it, and a very, very simple bare bones ingredient list. So I have no problem eating this, and plus it tastes good, really, really good. And trust me, at this point of the day, I don't really enjoy eating too much anymore. So eating something like this that tastes good and that I look forward to eating is something that I really think is no problem at all. This stuff is actually pretty lean. It's 94% fat-free. For each piece of turkey bacon, you're getting 1.5 grams of fat and 6 grams of protein. So I think it's pretty macro-friendly as well. This is going to be the first part of my last meal. I'll show you guys the second part here in a second. We've moved over to the other side of the stove here, and we're gonna make the second part of my last meal, which is going to be 3 whole eggs. So I like to get pasture-raised eggs, and then I'm gonna have another 50 grams of this bell pepper and onion mix in there for my veggies. So I'm gonna have 3 of these. Like I said, I really, really like the pasture-raised eggs. The pasture-raised eggs have a deep, dark orange yolk, and they taste so much better than those nasty, like light yellow eggs that you can get at Walmart for like 80 cents a dozen or something like that. Like, they're just so cheap, and I understand like being on a budget and everything, but this is something that I personally invest more money in, is to get better quality eggs. I think they're much healthier for you, and I think they taste way better too. So speaking of health and things along those lines, when it comes to cooking eggs, I know that these cooking sprays are like really popular and stuff now, but I am really not a big fan of them, especially considering most of them use canola oil. And canola oil is something that is probably like not really the healthiest thing that we can be consuming. And so what I like to do, and what I recommend that most people do for when they are cooking something on the stovetop like this, is to buy one of these. You can buy one of these things off Amazon. This is like a spritz bottle for oil. And it's made specifically for oil, because oil is obviously a lot thicker than water, so you can't just use one of those spray bottles that you buy at the store. And then I fill this with either extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil or macadamia nut oil or something like this, and I use this to coat my pans. And the way that I do it is actually very simple. So I use this, and I take my pan and I just squirt like 1 or 2 spritzes on there. You can see I've got some oil on there. And then all I do is I take a paper towel and I just wipe this around. And I'm probably, you guys probably can't see this here, but this entire pan is now coated with oil, like a really thin coat of oil. And I actually soaked up most of the oil onto the paper towel. So this is a way to kind of coat your pans and make sure that your food doesn't stick to the pans without really using any calories. I mean, the amount of oil that's actually on this pan is probably negligible and inconsistent. And I didn't have to use an unhealthy cooking spray to do that. Okay, eggs are in the pan now. This is probably really hard to tell from the camera quality, but these yolks are just such a dark orange color. So much better and so much more nutritious than those light yellow yolks that you're getting with the Walmart eggs. Because these are pasture-raised eggs, these hens are free to roam pastures and eat their natural diet, and the vitamin and nutrient profile that does to the yolk of the egg is just something that I think it's really hard to debate, honestly. I mean, when you see the difference in a pasture-raised egg yolk versus like a Walmart egg yolk, it's just completely night and different. Okay guys, I'm gonna let this bacon and these eggs cook up a little bit. Once the eggs get close to being done, I'll add the peppers and onions and just kind of brown those up a little bit. And then I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna eat the eggs and the turkey bacon, and then I actually have one more part of this last meal, and that'll be the carbs, and I'll show you guys that after I eat this. Okay, for the carbs in my last meal, we are going to have a bagel. I am a big bread guy. I really like bread. And there are, you know, some people in the industry that try to make bread out to be this unhealthy, terrible carbohydrate. In my eyes personally, bread is just as clean of a carbohydrate as rice, potatoes, and oatmeal. Unless you are someone who has a legitimate case of celiac disease that is prescribed by a doctor, like not you just think that you have celiac, like it's actually been confirmed. Those people, obviously bread is probably not something that you should be taking in, but I think that most people can probably consume bread with no problems at all, and I see no problems at all with it. I like to get my bagels and all of my bread products from Trader Joe's. If you guys can't tell, I'm a huge Trader Joe's fan. Trader Joe's bagels, the Trader Joe's bacon, the beef is from Trader Joe's. All of my chicken and salmon, all of the meat comes from Trader Joe's. I just think it's the best. But the main reason why I like their bread products specifically is because their bread products do not contain preservatives at all. And that's obviously awesome because they're a lot healthier. One of the things that does suck about it though is that you have to keep them in the freezer. Like these, a full roll of bagels from Trader Joe's will go bad in like 3 days if you don't put it in the freezer. So we just put these in the freezer and then we thaw them in the microwave for like 5-10 seconds whenever we want to use them, and toast them up, and they're delicious, and no preservatives in anything is a huge W for Trader Joe's. So we're gonna have one of those bagels, and then on top of it we are going to use this. This is one of my favorite jams or jellies, whatever you want to call them. I'm not really sure what the difference is between a jam or a jelly, honestly, but this is Bone Mamans. I hope that I pronounced this right. I think it's like a French name or something, but this is their intense fruit spread, and the reason why I like this a lot is because it has only 3 ingredients in it. It has blueberries, sugar, and lemon juice, and that is it. I'm a fan of my ingredient list being very small, so this is going to be the fruit source in the last meal. So I'm going to have 30 grams of this, which is about 12 to 15 grams of carbs additionally, which goes on the bagel. I think these are 48 grams of carbs, so about 60 to 65 grams of carbs in this meal. This is going to be my my lowest carb meal of the day, but it's also my highest fat meal of the day. You guys have probably noticed up until this point that my diet is pretty low fat. There's going to be obviously trace amounts of fat that are in the chicken, the beef, and the fish, and along those lines, but I don't really do any direct fat sources. But I do in my last meal here. I kind of want this meal to digest slowly while I'm sleeping so that it kind of keeps my body fed while I'm sleeping, and things along those lines. And I kind of talked about, I'm not sure if it's been in this video or in other videos before, but I really like to keep my fat intake lower because it allows me to eat more. The fat really slows my digestion down, and it just really makes it harder for me to eat more food. Even though fat has more calories per gram, it just becomes more difficult for me to eat the amounts of food in the time frame that I need to eat it in, because it just makes my digestion so slow. So I do like to put my fats in towards the end, but just because I'm having fats doesn't mean that I don't have carbs. I think that carbs are very, very essential. So that's enough of a ramble on that. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get this fruit on the bagel and then eat it and then get to bed because I am tired. So I'll probably by now have had something roll or tick across the bottom about what my final macros are for the day. Again, this is the amount of food that I need to just kind of hold my weight right now. And then once we get back from Vegas, then it's going to be all about just getting back into the swing of things and slowly starting to creep the body weight back up. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get this last meal in me, and then I'm going to get to sleep. So thanks for watching, guys, and as always, take care of yourselves.